This is your World War III breaking news update. Donald Trump does a pivot on Russia and Ukraine. Couldn't have seen that coming, did we? Well, I told you we would reach an impasse, a point where all the best intentions of those on all sides would be revealed for what they were: desultory stalling tactics and nothing more. Donald Trump, who up until this point has maintained a diplomatic posture of tact and sensitivity, is now issuing ultimatums to the Russians. And I just got word as of making this video that he's now considering pulling 35,000 troops from Germany and redeploying them to Eastern Europe, as per the Telegraph News publication. We also have Poland today stating that they are in the advanced stages of incorporating nuclear weapons into their repertoire. They are currently in talks with France to deploy nuclear weapons on Polish soil. This is a major development. We also have the Poles insisting that they're going to be upping their military numbers to 500,000 and putting every able-bodied male through military service in anticipation with a major war with Russia. My friends, they are losing control. Trump is losing control of this situation. On the Iranian front, Trump has said today that in the coming days ahead, they're approaching the final strokes with Iran, whatever that means. But it was very ominous in the way that the message was delivered to suggest that they're at their wits' end with the Iranian situation and that is going to flare up too. It should come as no surprise considering they've been silently sending billions of dollars of weapons to Israel and running training sorties in that direction for the last few weeks. And I've warned you since day one for a year, well over a year now, that if Trump gets elected, one of the first things they're going to do is go for Iran. And that is going to be very destabilizing. And they probably now see an opportunity with oil prices as low as they are, as low as they're probably going to get, for them to exploit that and seize on the opportunity and attack Iran, which will perhaps have some limiting effect on the negative economic fallout from it. Now, here's what Trump had to say. I don't have any more information about the 35,000 U.S. troop deployment, but I'll get some more info and I'll incorporate it into the next update. That is from a reputable source, as reputable as mainstream media gets nowadays. We take it at cursory value. Now, in terms of Trump's statements, hear what he had to say. Based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, and this, of course, the Ukrainians are chalking it up to the Russians exploiting a chink in the armor, which was caused by the suspension of U.S.-supplied intelligence. That's what they're saying this is the result of, even though France, England, and some other nations are supplementing Ukraine's ISR. The Ukrainians are saying this is the result of the U.S. withdrawal of their intelligence data. Now, that could just be for offensive purposes, or who knows? Okay, regardless, Trump is changing his stance. Based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I'm strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. Now, Trump insists that this is not about money. He reiterated that today in the Oval Office when asked where they are in the peace negotiations with Ukraine. Trump insists that it's not about money. They just want to get a peace deal. Yet every single time he's banging on this $350 billion, $100 billion, this mineral deal. If it's not about money, who cares? Who needs a deal? Just get to the bargaining table already. Of course, as yours truly has been saying, I've been one of the lone voices saying for the longest time, this is a problem that supersedes Trump. It's bigger than him, okay? And it's not going to be resolved in 24 hours. In fact, Keith Kellogg, the envoy to Ukraine, jokingly stated today that when we said we're going to end the war in 24 hours, we never said on what day, okay? So there you have it in a nutshell. This war is much bigger. If you want to see my complete high-level geopolitical analysis breakdown of the global World War III chessboard, watch the video that I released before this one. At least watch the first 15 minutes. I'm going to tell you what nobody else is saying. Now, The White House is prepared to introduce more sanctions. This was echoed by Scott Bessent. And while sanctions might seem like a relatively inconsequential and innocuous gesture, unfortunately, these ones are intended to be the final blow, a crippling maximalist blow to the Russian economy, according to Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary. Such measures will be used against Russia as leverage in the peace negotiations. Now, Moscow has no intent to have a ceasefire, and there's false news being reported today that Bloomberg, all of the, dick riding accounts on X who are paid to peddle Elon Musk and Doge propaganda, they're all saying that Bloomberg published an article saying that right after Putin caught word that Trump was going to impose sanctions, all of a sudden he's ready to go to the negotiating table. They're basically clipping sound bites from previous interviews and amalgamating it into just a bunch of bullshit conjecture. No, there has been no official statement made by the Kremlin that is a direct response to what Trump stated today. The Kremlin never is going to make an official statement so swiftly and quickly and haphazardly like that. So you can bet that that's complete and utter nonsense being perpetrated by these dick-riding propagandists on X. Half of what they say is complete and utter bullshit. I'm going to do an expose naming all the accounts in a future video because I'm really getting sick and tired of it. As per Donald Trump's guidance, the sanctions would be used to explicitly and aggressively and immediately use for maximum impact, Bessent emphasized, adding the potential measures will be carefully monitored to ensure that they are achieving specific objectives. So it's going down. We are finally where I told you we would be, the inevitable hitting of the wall with Russia and Ukraine. According to Barack Ravid of Axios, a senior White House official has said that Trump's rage has been intensifying in the past few days as Russia continues its relentless tempo of its strike campaign on Ukrainian civilian and energy infrastructure in a recent post on Truth Social. Well, that doesn't stop them from having massive raves, stadiums full of thousands of people getting down on the dance floor in Kiev. They must still have electricity being generated for that. So we know that things are changing, okay? And you guys got to go and watch my previous video. I lay it all out. I explain why all of this is a deception. World War III is here and it's not going anywhere, and you need to prepare for it. I don't care if you go to the dollar store or Walmart or Home Depot or the Salvation Army or Value Village to get your preps. You can go to CanadianPreparedness.com. I don't give a shit at this point in time. I just want you to get prepared in any way that you possibly can, because things could fall apart very, very quickly. Now, Poland is mobilizing. They are getting ready to expand the Polish army to 500,000 troops to bolster national defense. I was one of the first people who talked about this months ago, so I'm not going to go into immense detail about this. But Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister, announced in a speech Parliament that large-scale military training for all adult males in the country is being prepared in response to the deteriorating security situation in Europe. It's important to conceptualize it how the Europeans are conceptualizing it, because this is what is going to dictate where this conflict goes. Not if you in the United States or in Canada think that the war is coming to an end. The Europeans view this as a deterioration because the Ukrainians are losing. And what that means is that they're now going to be looking across and seeing Russian soldiers along what we can hope is some sort of demilitarized zone of hostilities. But the jury is still out on as to whether or not that's even achievable. The Russians have, as a precondition, Chinese peacekeepers being involved in that process. It's not beyond the realm of possibility, but I would not hold my breath out on that one for a second. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, in terms of Poland pursuing nuclear weapons, this is very, very significant. I first warned you about this over a year and a half ago. Now, Poland already has F-35s. They have the means to deploy U.S. tactical nuclear weapons, which essentially in the eyes of Russia already makes them a de facto nuclear state. Is this going to be a major red line or escalation above and beyond what is already existing? It's hard to say. Probably not. We're in a period of such incrementalism and mission creep that I would not be surprised that if the Russians let this slide as well, because at this point in time, any NATO country you can deploy nuclear weapons from, and they can be a springboard for the use of them. So it really doesn't matter. It's only on paper. It's really the fine print, boilerplate stuff. So here we go. Poland to seek access to nuclear weapons, according to Donald Tusk, and this negotiation with France on the nuclear umbrella and sharing are at a very advanced stage. Poland will be seeking to gain access to nukes and non-conventional weapons, including through participation, and this is including, so this is not solely through the French, but through alternate means as well, through the French Nuclear Umbrella Initiative. So this is a real thing. This is not just Macron talking out of his ass. We must be aware that Poland should be seeking to gain access to the most advanced capabilities, including those linked with nuclear arms and state-of-the-art non-conventional weapons, he told the lower house of parliament. We won't be afraid of anyone's criticism, so they're going full steam ahead with this. Anything that contributes to the strengthening of defensive capabilities will be implemented and used, he stressed, adding that Poland is holding serious talks with the French on their nuclear umbrella project. According to the Polish Prime Minister, the political negotiations with France on the nuclear umbrella are at a very advanced stage. At the same time, he noted that we will need to hold detailed consultations with the Defense Ministry and the General Staff on the concrete consequences of Warsaw's participation in the initiative. In the email addressed to the nation on March 5th, Emmanuel Macron spoke about growing threats to Europe and France, including Russia, justifying the need for increased defense spending. So France is going to provide the nuclear umbrella. Poland is going to provide the manpower and the armaments and the mobilization capability. And you're probably going to have the UK providing intelligence, nuclear support, and also support with troops as well, and Germany with their weapons and rearmament. Europe is getting ready for war, and the United States has now delegated the responsibility to Europe to take responsibility for the conflict there with the Russians, because the United States is going to be tasked with what's about to happen in Iran and what could very easily flare up in China, which is why China is currently stockpiling all of its strategic reserves, from gold to oil to grain, rare earth metals, copper. The list goes on and on. They're preparing for World War III. Now, in terms of Trump's rather ominous statements about Iran, he said the following in passing today: "There will be some interesting days ahead. That's all I can tell you. We're down to the final strokes with Iran." Now, Trump said that he has sent a letter to the Ayatollah in an attempt to initiate talks on denuclearization of Iran. But the Ayatollah denies this. Iran's permanent mission to the United Nations was asked earlier about the letter U.S. President Trump claimed he sent to the Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, stating that we have not received such a letter so far. The United States is getting ready to impose an embargo on Iran with the stated intent to driving their oil revenues to zero. That is a declaration of war. It should come as no surprise is that the IRGC is currently rallying up their proxies in Syria right now in an attempt to upend whatever Israel and the United States has planned. And the United States has been very discreetly shipping billions of dollars worth of weapons to Israel, which will be used as a staging ground for whatever sort of major operation they are planning. Things are about to spiral out of control, and I think they're going to seize on the opportunity of the low oil prices that we're currently seeing, use that as a backstop to go to war, because they know the price of oil is going to absolutely explode when the war starts on the Iranian front. And if things fizzle out with Russia, we're going to see oil north of $150 a barrel, okay? Things are going to get out of control. Now, Russia is saying that they're going to take retaliatory measures because, as I've been saying, all this talk about peace, this rhetoric from Trump about we just want peace, when everything they are doing is driving more war, okay? We're talking about encouraging Ukraine. And I think that it's actually forcing Ukraine, and I think that's what's the sticking point with these negotiations. We don't truly know what the negotiations are because neither Zelensky wants his population, nor do Trump, Walsh, Kellogg, and whoever else is involved want the U.S. population to truly know what the requirements are. The requirements, I think, chief among them, is going to be lowering the conscription age to Ukraine to 18 years old so they can continue to fight and attrit the Russians. In addition to that, the Americans are openly encouraging the Europeans to go into war mobilization mode. Dmitry Peskov yesterday said, war mobilization against who? Who? The United States. Do you want Europe to get ready to fight? Well, it must be us, right? Because we're the only ones here. So Russia's going to take retaliatory actions. They're going to up their military spend as well. And Russia, it should be known, currently, as of March 2025, is sitting on the highest record gold amounts that they've ever held in modern history. And this is just what they disclose, mind you. I can guess that Russia and the Chinese are very guarded in their strategic reserve numbers. They're saying that they have $632 billion worth of gold, 34.4% of total reserves, the highest share since October of 1999. So they are ready for World War III, and as should you. The government has a strategic reserve for all of the vital necessities required for life, and so should you. World War III ain't going anywhere, so keep on prepping. Well, the prepping is good. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'll keep you apprised on this new development about 35,000 U.S. troops potentially being redeployed from Germany to Eastern Europe, which makes perfect sense to me. That very well may just be a shot across the bow from Trump. I guess we're going to find out. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.